That Shit MMA podcast, hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and Chicago's #1 underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Thank you for listening. My name is Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21. I'm a mixed martial arts journalist. I currently contribute to bjpen.com, Low Kick MMA, CageSidePress.com. You could find my work there as well as my YouTube channel at aka Strauss21. And of course, the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast that you are listening to right now. Here is my latest interview. I hope you enjoy it. I want to welcome back Jordan Johnson to the show. What's going on, brother? I mean, you looked phenomenal in your last fight at middleweight, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I think middleweight is the great move for me. I think that's the right weight class. So
Yeah, definitely, man. I watched your interview that you had with James Lynch just yesterday, and great interview. A lot of good questions there, man. I mean, the big one that I had is I can't believe the UFC is playing this game with you, man. I mean, all you've done is beat every guy that they put in front of you. Are you a little bit confused in why they won't give you what you want?
You know, I actually talked to one of my buddies who works with the UFC. He's pretty high up with the UFC, and the UFC is just a machine. So, you know, it's not emotional. They take you and they punch you into their program, and that program spits out a number, and it tells them how much they should invest and what kind of return they can get or what they think they can get. And that's all it is. And so, I mean, the UFC is all marketing. You got Derek Lewis, who is, you know, he's good. He's won 9 out of his last 10 fights. You know, hasn't been, you know. So, I mean, that's great. But then you also got Stipe Miocic, who is, you know, the best heavyweight of all time. And all Derek Lewis did was say his balls was hot. He won some fights, said his balls was hot, and now he's fighting for a world title over Stipe. So the UFC is not about who's the best fighter. It's not about doing the right things. It's all marketing. And so the UFC punched me in, and they came out with, you know, the number that they wanted to give me, and I said absolutely not. So it's not emotional. I get what they're doing. You know, guys, they have guys that they got great fighters who don't make much money, and they got guys who cannot fight at all. But, you know, they can do a few cool little spinny moves on their feet, and they match them up against guys who suck, and, you know, they get paid. It's the UFC is not about winning fights. It's not about how good you are. It's all marketing. So
you're absolutely right about that, man. And you know, there's a lot of other great organizations out there, man. I've been a huge fan of Bellator for a long time, but of course, One's out there, Titan's still there. You got a ton of great organizations, man. I know that you really don't want to speak too much because it's still, you know, it's still up in the air. But I mean, 1A would probably be Bellator. Am I wrong?
I mean, there's a good chance, like I mentioned in the James Lynch interview. From a legal standpoint, I told these companies or just give me a little bit longer to make sure everything's in order with the UFC, so I'm not violating or, you know, breaking any rules or breaking my contract or whatnot. But I mean, you know, when the time's right, I'll talk to Bellator and I'll talk to other organizations. But companies have reached out to me, organizations have reached out to me, and, you know, nothing official because, like I said, I won't have these conversations. But some numbers have been thrown at me, and I'm in a great position. I'm 10-0. I went 4-0 in the UFC. I dominated everyone they put in front of me. I was fighting up a weight class because, you know, why not? There was no one who could compete with me. I had my RFA world title. I was a top 15 light heavyweight at a weight class above my actual weight class. I took the number 14 fighter's spot. I replaced him, and I beat the hell out of the guy he was supposed to fight. So the UFC can be petty, but, you know, I'm a top 15. The truth is I'm the best fighter in the UFC, or that was in the UFC, you know. So I'm in a great spot.
You definitely are in a great spot, man. Not just professionally, but personally too, man. How's fatherhood? I know that you look so happy, man. It's not even funny.
I love it. I'm in my minivan right now with my minivan with my mini man. We're cruising over to the gym. We're about to get a workout in, and then go hit some physical therapy. So he's my little roll dog.
Very cool, man. The move back to Power in Arizona, what inspired that?
So what happened was I love Power. Power is my gym. That's my family. Power went through a transitional phase. So I was at the lab, and then I went out to California, and then from California I went to Power, and I found Power and I started training there. But then Power went through a transitional phase where they were changing gyms and some owners were going to step out, and there was just a bunch going on. And so Power didn't have a lot of structure for a little while, and they didn't even have a facility. And just the way I'm wired is I need to be constantly getting better. So I just went out to California, not really knowing what I was doing, but I had some connections out there, and I knew I could get, at that time, I knew I could get better training than I was in Arizona. And then life kind of happened, and, I was there. And so I knew I needed to get back, but just with life, I spent more time out in California than I intended to. And, my wife and I found out about Jack, and, the UFC doesn't give you insurance. And so it made, for my family, it made the most sense to stay in California for the time being. And then once we got everything in order, I got back out here as quick as possible. So that was my bouncing around right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, things look like they're going very good for you. And one of the things that I can't help but to notice is you seem like you have came out. I don't want to say of a shell because I don't think you're ever in a shell, but it seems like these last few fights you really let your personality shine more. Is that a safe thing to say?
Yeah, it is. I'm a pretty quiet guy. I kind of keep a small circle. I don't, I think everyone's always really surprised, like when they meet me, people think I like hate them or, because I'm pretty reserved, and it takes me a little while. And then once I get to know someone, I'll open up. And then, with these interviews and everything, I really didn't put a lot of effort into them. I just kind of did them because it was like, I had to do them, let people know I was fighting and whatnot. And then as I moved forward, just like we were talking about, you can't just be a great fighter in this industry. You have to, like I said, there's guys that, can't win at the local level if they were just fighting the best fighters. But then they get into the UFC, and then the UFC, likes their personality, and they can sell them, they can market them. And so they give them favorable matchups, and they give them way more money than they deserve. And it's just, it's just because they're vocal and they talk, and like I said, they have a personality, and people can relate to them or whatever it is. So, I've been recently really making an effort to let people get to know me and not be so reserved and, not save my personality for just my, my little pocket of friends and my team and whatnot and my family. So
I think it's awesome, man. I think I'm digging it. I really am. I love the confidence. I love, you have a little bit of cockiness, but it's not cocky, it's confidence, but it borders that. And I really think that's cool, man, because you're just being you. One of the things I really liked was how you poured out the proper 12. I mean, where did you even come up with that idea?
So, I mean, just again, talking about marketing and getting, just getting my name and my face and people to know who I am. Like I did, I don't know if you saw that, that where I pretend like I, broke my wrist, and then I did the little circle under the waist thing. I don't know if you saw that video, but I did that, and that got picked up by, all the major, like Barstool Sports, Lad Bible, all the, all these different, like big social media groups, and went viral and got millions and millions and millions of views. And so I wanted to do something like that again. This one, it was not as successful, and I just kind of following social media trends. One thing that's real popular is people taking a product that someone likes. Something could be like something like pizza or avocado, and then just putting it, throwing it in the trash. And so I decided to do that with Proper 12. I thought I would get a pretty good reaction, which it did. Get a response, and so that's where that came from. It was just pouring it out. I was expecting people to tag the Conor fanboys and kind of be a little bit more playful, but the Conor McGregor fan base most of them are just a bunch of pussies, and actually got super butthurt about it and didn't take it lightly. So that's where that came from. It was all intended just to, like I said, just to get get me out there a little bit more.
I thought it was great, man. I thought it was awesome. I personally, I'm not a big drinker, so I haven't tasted it, but I thought it was genius. I love how things are turning out for you, man. I'd like to give you a few minutes here to shout out your coaches, sponsors, team, whatever you'd like, man. The floor is yours.
Yeah, first, just want to thank my family, and then all my close friends, and then Power MMA. I want to thank the guys at American Ethanol. I want to thank Vitamin Energy. I want to thank the guys at Stay Classy Meats. Ray's Real. I post some of their stuff on my social media. even helping me with my son's meals. So he's eating all organic since the doctor gave us the go. I got in contact with them and bought him the organic avocado on the way home, and so I really appreciate them. That's it. I want to thank you for having me on the show. So.
Well, I appreciate it. Anytime, Jordan. And man, let me know. I know obviously you can't talk about anything right now, but once you figure out where you're going to be taking your talents to, man, I'd love to have you back on.
All right, cool. Thank you.
All right,
have a great day.
You too, man.